Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Christopher, for that amazing rendition of our national anthem. Good morning. I'm Kathy Flynn, Director of Development for Veterans Count. Welcome to our first ever virtual Veterans Count Salute Our Soldiers breakfast. On behalf of the Manchester chapter, I would like to thank all of the table captains and sponsors who have made this morning possible. Our major sponsors include Soil Away Cleaning and Restoration Services, the Salter family, and Granite Group Benefits. 2020 has brought challenges for a lot of us. The isolation and uncertainty have been a struggle. It is important that as a community, we look out for each other. This morning, you'll hear why people choose to support Veterans Count. For some, since 2007, when Veterans Count began. I personally want to say thank you to all of you who have donated and attended in the past and are now joining us remotely this morning. As we navigate through new opportunities for Veterans Count, I'm so grateful for all of you that make up our community. After this morning's program, I encourage you to share this link with your family and friends. Together, even in a virtual format, we can and will make a difference. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you Maureen Beauregard, President and CEO of Easterseals, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and the Farnham Center.
Thank you, Kathy. I'm pleased to be a part of the 13th annual Salute Our Soldiers breakfast. It was only a year ago that I attended my first Veterans Count breakfast as the incoming president and CEO of Easterseals. I was warmly welcomed, and over the past 11 months, I've absolutely enjoyed meeting some of you and looked forward to more opportunities to meet you and to get to know you even more. I've learned a great deal about Veterans Count, the philanthropic arm of Military and Veteran Services, and the impact it's made and continues to make, and want to extend a sincere thank you to all of you who support us. I'd like to share a few examples of what your donations have done since the first breakfast 13 years ago. Over 7,500 service members, veterans, and their families have been served, and our care coordinators have intervened in 123 instances of significant suicide risk. Over 1,300 jobs are secured, and I'm so proud of the difference collectively that we all make. As we gather virtually, I invite you to snap a photo of your breakfast this morning and post it on social media, #SOS breakfast. The winning breakfast photo will receive a Veterans Count swag bag. I took my own photo of my honey bunches of oat flakes this morning, so be warned, the bar has been set high. Also new this year is a special guest joining us, and I'm beyond excited to introduce Seth Myers. We all knew Seth grew up in New Hampshire. His family has supported Veterans Count, and he did not hesitate when I asked if he would take the time to pay tribute to the military community in our state. From the bottom of my heart and others' hearts, Seth, thank you.
Good morning and thank you, Maureen. I'm Seth Myers, who, thanks to Adam Sandler, has to clarify that I'm the most famous comedian not from New Hampshire, but from Bedford, New Hampshire. And even then, with Sarah Silverman, It's actually more like a tie. Either way, I'm so happy to be here with you. I will admit that I'm not taping this in the morning, which is why I don't have breakfast with me now, but if you need to know, I had the same thing this morning that I always have, 3 raw eggs in a glass, thus explaining my Rocky Balboa physique. Anyway, I am so proud that I was asked to join you for the 13th annual Veterans Count Salute Our Soldiers Breakfast. My dad has attended this event for the past several years, and both he and my mom have participated in the Veterans Count golf tournament too, and based on the times I've golfed with them, I'm guessing they didn't win it. As you can tell by my sweet hat over there, we Myers are very supportive of the military community and the organizations that make a difference for our service members and veterans. I'm so impressed by the work Veterans Count have done over the years to help service members, veterans, and their families in New Hampshire. Since it began, Easterseals military and veterans service have helped over 17,500 people thanks to the hard work and dedication of Veterans Count volunteers, including all of you in this virtual room. Thank you for your support, donations, and for getting up so early to join us today. This morning, you will hear from chapter members, a general, and Mary and Evan, who lost their son, on why they support Veterans Count. We started off with Christopher singing our national anthem, and we'll end with Dan singing God Bless America. I'm pleased to be a part of such a wonderful program. A lot has changed in 13 years. I mean, here we are having a virtual breakfast together. If you had come up to me in 2007 and said, one day you will spend a majority of your time talking directly into a laptop and not need to wear pants for weeks on end, I would have laughed and said, wonderful future person, you give me hope. But what hasn't changed in 13 years is the commitment of Easterseals Veterans Count to make sure our military and their families have the services and support they need to thrive, especially during times like these. It's really easy to watch any news program or late night show and become cynical. Hey, that's on me. But I do mean it when I say that the dedication and generosity of people like you is inspiring. This is an uncertain time. Make it even more impressive how many of you have stepped up like you have. So I salute you, Maureen, Kathy, Jim, Jack, Brian, along with people like Michael Salter and Dick Rawlings, who have supported this breakfast for 13 years. And to the rest of you, too many to name, you make me proud to be from New Hampshire.
Thank you, Seth. Hello, everyone. I'm Jack Soloway, Manchester Veterans Count chapter member and Salute Our Soldiers Breakfast co-chair. I personally support Veterans Count because our veterans and their families have given so much to this country. Being a part of the Manchester chapter provides me an opportunity to give back and show how much I care. One of the things I am most proud of is that 90 cents of every dollar goes back into the service and support of our veterans and our community. This morning, I hope you learn more about Veterans Count and the services we provide. Here are some of our fellow chapter members also sharing a little bit about themselves and why they have chosen to support Veterans Count. Thank you.
My name is Christian Scott. I'm the Vice Chair of the Manchester chapter of Veterans Count, and I serve with Veterans Count as a way to honor my father. He flew Cobras in the Army during Vietnam, where he witnessed firsthand the tragedy of war, and certainly that shaped him.
I'm Dick Rawlings. I'm on the Easterseals board currently, and I was involved with Veterans Count from the beginning when Mike Salter got a bunch of us together and asked us to talk about what was happening in the veterans and their families locally.
I'm Tracy Boravage. I'm proud to be part of Veterans Count. As a little girl, my parents always taught me to be proud of our military. I have a lot of family members who've been part of the military over the course of their lives.
My name is Pat Tobin, and I'm a Manchester chapter member for Veterans Count. And I support Veterans Count because it's an honest and trustworthy organization that helps us show how grateful we are to our servicemen and women.
My name is Alan Good. I'm a 3-year member of the U.S. Army Field Artillery, which is a combat branch. I was conscripted in 1969, September of 1969. For those of you who don't know what the word means, it means I was drafted.
My name is Denise Petrin, and I'm a Manchester chapter member of Veterans Count. I got involved with Veterans Count because my brother was in the military, my uncle was in the military, and my father served in the military. It's important to me to give back to the veterans who have given their life to our community, and what better way to do it than through supporting Veterans Count.
I'm Matt Bacon. I work with Veterans Count because of all the people that come back from serving our country and they don't have all the resources that they really should have.
Shannon Wilcott, U.S. Army. I'm also a member of the Manchester chapter for Veterans Count. Our veterans need our support, and we're here to remind them of that with our services that we can provide. And our community is important to get involved, and that's why I'm part of Veterans Count.
Our country has a serious gap for serving some of the veterans. Because we don't have a military base in this state, some of the access to services, funding, and other support services that veterans may need when they return from active duty is not here.
This is my way to give back to so many people who have sacrificed, not only the soldiers, but their families as well. And that's one of the beautiful things about Veterans Count, is that we're here to treat the entire family, to help the whole unit, to bring everyone together.
And I'm trying to make sure that the members and all the veterans in New Hampshire get their proper care so they can live their lives as healthy as possible.
As a veteran, I know the veterans have lots of needs and we're doing the best we can to help. It wasn't that way back in the 60s, late 60s and early 70s because frankly, people didn't care. And the only ones that did care were your family. But that's totally reversed now. People really do care and are making Veterans Count a really special organization, making a difference in the lives of the veterans and the families that they touch.
Several years ago, I lost a husband who was a military veteran for the Navy in Vietnam to cancer. Having been involved and around the VA system and how veterans were treated, I realized that there was a lack of communication between what veterans got for services and how people treated veterans. Taking him down to the VA system, being part of the veterans down there, getting to see how people interacted, that really woke me up. It made me see just what veterans needed.
They deserve better care after our country has asked of them to sign on the dotted line for potentially the ultimate sacrifice. So we owe it to them to provide access to housing, to support services, counseling, family assistance, and job transition for when they return.
What an awesome thing it is to be part of Veterans Count, to get to help veterans and reach out and do some great things for our veterans right here in the state of New Hampshire. Being part of Veterans Count has done a tremendous amount of things for my heart because it allows me to do something that I believe very much in. I'm proud to be an American, and I am proud to serve our veterans.
I grew up in a military family, grew up learning to thank soldiers for their service, to stop when a flag is being raised or lowered, and just to have respect for our country.
Next, you will meet an amazing and hear from an amazing person, Victoria Bagshaw. She is a Military and Veterans Service Program Manager, here to share her experiences as a care coordinator.
Hi, my name is Victoria Bagshaw, and I'm a Program Manager with Easterseals Military and Veterans Services. We provide emergency financial assistance in partnership with Veterans Count, as well as case management services to veterans and their families throughout the state of New Hampshire. Our care coordinators meet locally with veterans in their communities and work collaboratively to create individualized action plans to meet their most pressing needs with the goal of fostering long-term sustainability. We assist veterans of all eras, regardless of length of service, duty status, or character of discharge, in navigating and accessing military and civilian benefits and resources. Military and Veterans Services focuses on filling gaps in available services for veterans in New Hampshire and meeting unmet needs. For instance, many aging veterans in our community struggle to stay safely in their home and are often caught between levels of care, where they cannot afford assisted living but do not meet the medical criteria for a nursing home. Through our contracts with Elliott and CMC hospitals, our care coordinators can reach veterans who may not have connected with us otherwise to help them to access services such as caregiver support, which can help them to age in place. Currently, our primary focus is around housing. As many of you may know, we are in the midst of a housing crisis in New Hampshire due to a shortage of vacant, affordable housing. As you can imagine, the pandemic has only made this more acute. We have several programs that attempt to address this need. First, we participate in the state's coordinated entry process and perform street outreach to quickly identify and respond to veterans experiencing homelessness. Second, we contract with the state to provide financial assistance and case management to rapidly rehouse homeless veterans and prevent homelessness for those at risk. We have also received additional CARES funding to effectively respond to veteran households impacted by COVID-19. Lastly, we have a federal VA contract to support previously homeless veterans who have moved into permanent housing. The goal of this program is to strengthen skills and put supports in place so they can successfully maintain housing. Recently, we identified a veteran staying in an encampment via our street outreach. This veteran had an other than honorable discharge from the military related to his substance use, which over the years had continued to negatively impact his housing stability. His care coordinator offered to assist this veteran in accessing treatment services, but they wanted to focus on obtaining housing first, and then, once housed, they would feel like they had the capacity to address their substance use. So this care coordinator worked diligently to find an available apartment and advocated fiercely with landlords. Finally, the veteran was approved for an apartment, and the care coordinator was able to use Veterans Count funds to assist with the security deposit, a new bed, and other necessary household items, while also using state funds to provide ongoing rental assistance while the veteran worked to establish income. The care coordinator will continue to provide ongoing support and case management to ensure the veteran successfully maintains permanent housing. I am proud to introduce retired Colonel Jim Moody. Jim serves on the Veterans Count Executive Committee and is the Manchester Chapter Chair. Jim served in the Army National Guard for 31 years. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Victoria. Every gift matters. If you choose to donate monthly, you will show your support throughout the entire year. As little as $7.95 per month can pay for a cell phone for a veteran. $10 per month covers 1 month of an electric bill. $25 per month supports a 2-night hotel stay for a service member waiting on permanent housing. $50 per month equals a month worth of groceries for a family of 4. The first 20 people to donate $10 per month for the next year will have their donations matched by an anonymous donor, thereby doubling the impact. Please don't forget our breakfast photo competition this morning. Take a picture of your breakfast, post it on social media, #SOS Breakfast. I am pleased to introduce retired Brigadier General Donald Bolduc. General Bolduc served as the commander, Special Operations Command Africa, and was responsible for more than 2,000 U.S. military, interagency, and international military personnel. He received 2 awards for valor, 5 Bronze Star medals, 2 Purple Hearts, and led 10 deployments. His most challenging mission is advocating for the treatment and shedding of the stigma of post-traumatic stress, of which he has been diagnosed. Ladies and gentlemen, General Don Bolduc.
Good morning, my name's Don Bolduc. I live in Stratham, New Hampshire. I was born and raised in Laconia, New Hampshire. I served 33 plus years in the United States military. I went from private to sergeant to lieutenant to general. I say that not to brag, I just say it to demonstrate my experience as a service member, as a soldier, as someone who is committed to our service members and to our veterans. And when I retired on 2 October 2017, my wife Sharon and I returned back to the state of New Hampshire that I was a resident in my whole life, and bought a home in Stratham, New Hampshire. And we decided we were going to do one thing first off, and that was to help veterans and their families. And I think if my wife was here, she'd tell you that one of our most stressful years of our life was our separation from the military, going from the military into civilian life. Really stressful. And so you can imagine if it's stressful for a general to go from active duty to the civilian world. You can only imagine how stressful it is for our service members at various ranks, either to do it after a term or terms of service or after retirement. Everything from getting your family settled, to getting medical benefits, to getting your kids in school, to buying a home, to integrating into a community, finding a job. You know, most veterans have 4 jobs before they're even fall in on the job that is the one they want for the remainder of their life until they retire again, or until they're done doing whatever it is they want to do. And so we were very concerned about this based off of the struggles that we had and that we had heard about and read about and had been told about. So we went about looking at different veteran organizations, and we found many veteran organizations all over the country. And my wife and I volunteered to sit on 7 different boards for different veteran organizations. The one here in New Hampshire that we were able to connect with early on was Veterans Count. And we really loved Veterans Count, one, because of the people, the connection to Easterseals, and more importantly, their care coordinator model, which was the same kind of model that I used in my command, my division level command, Special Operations Command Africa, to support our service members and their family. And that model of teaming a person up with the veteran and their family to really understand the veteran and to really understand the family and their situation is the most effective model. It should be every organization's model as far as I'm concerned. And then the other thing was the dollar, percentage of the dollar that goes to the veteran and not to the organization. And for Veteran Count, that's very, very substantial. So the organizational structure, its focus, the return on investment for people that give money to support our veterans and their families, the programs and the breadth and depth of the programs, and then connecting it to Easterseals, which amplifies the programs that are available, is just unbelievable. People that I have met in the veteran system want to do the best they possibly can for our veterans. It is the bureaucracy above them and the leadership above them that becomes problematic. And they lose the flexibility and adaptability, and they got all the programs they need. It's just a matter of executing it. And unfortunately, that execution doesn't happen as quickly and as responsively and as thoroughly as it should. And we end up with issues, and then we end up with organizations like Veterans Count that has to come in and augment this. And thank goodness for that, because without Veterans Count, I know there's a lot of veterans in this state and in certain states in New England that would be without help. And I know I have referred a number of veterans to them. And I know when they don't get the help they need on active duty, they will transition with those issues, health issues, into the civilian world in a less familiar, less friendly, and a less understandable environment, and they can fall through the cracks. And when they fall through the cracks, we have a high suicide rate, and that's what we want to buy down. I owe this to the men and women that I served with. I owe this to the 72 service members that I lost in combat that didn't come home because they were doing a mission I asked them to do. And so for me and my wife Sharon, this organization meets the needs of our veterans and their families, and an investment in this by everybody is hugely important. And I will continue to do this work. I will continue to volunteer to help this organization do everything it possibly can to save the lives of our veterans and our family members, because we owe that to them, because they're the ones and their families who put it on the line for our freedoms. And we know this well, that freedom isn't free. And we only have to look at a serving service member in some far-off land away from his family, or a veteran homeless under a bridge, to realize what that sacrifice is and the responsibility that we have to them. God bless you all, and thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Evan Sohm.
And I'm Mary Sohm, and we are here to tell you about our relationship with Veterans Count and the history behind it. And it starts with our son, Peter. Peter was in the Air Force. He always wanted to serve ever since he was 4 and saw a Top Gun.
That started it all.
That started it all. He wanted to be an aviator for the Air Force.
He was a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force, and he graduated from the Academy in 2010. During that time frame, there was this governmental sequester kicking around as an idea in Congress. I think it actually happened, but the importance of that in Peter's situation was that as an officer in the Air Force, he understood that the enlisted men and women in the military could risk not receiving a paycheck, which would put them in some serious financial bind. Yet, as an officer, apparently he was exempt from that sequester. And that didn't sit well with him. Anyway, sadly he died in a plane crash outside his base in San Angelo, Texas in 2011. When he died, Mary and I, we were wondering, what is it that we could do to try and honor Pete's legacy? So, in lieu of flowers at his wake and funeral, we had suggested that people donate money instead to a fund that we tried to set up for providing emergency financial support to military families in need. And that turned out to be very successful. We then found Veterans Count, which does precisely that.
Right.
So
we didn't know. We just said we wanted a fund to help families in need, military families in need. But it wasn't until after his funeral, about a month after, that we found out about Veterans Count, and it was amazing. It was like the perfect organization. This is what we were looking for, and we felt that Peter would be happy with the choice too.
So we donate to Veterans Count as a way of honoring and remembering our son, knowing that he would be very proud of the fact that that's what we're doing, because we're doing something which was very important to him.
It is a wonderful organization, and it continues to help veterans, young, old, in their families, and and we think it's a very worthwhile organization.
You know, the act of giving to make a difference in people's lives doesn't have to be a big deal. Sometimes even the smallest of gifts can be very, very effective in preventing a downward spiral in the relationship of anyone. And with Veterans Count being focused on military families in need, we find that that is a very easy way for us to accomplish what we've tried to set out and do. So thank you for listening to what Mary and I had to share with you about Peter and our experiences with Veterans Count. Again, we found this to be a wonderful organization that does tremendous work, where small donations can go a long, long way towards the goal of helping military families with emergency financial needs.
So we thank you again, and we hope that you find it in your heart to donate today during this SOS breakfast, and we hope you have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary and Evan, for your story about Peter.
We hope you enjoyed today's program and are inspired to give. Please remember, no gift is too small. Please visit www.vetscount.org/nh. Thank you. Have a great day.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with your light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, through the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Thanks, everyone. Maureen, I'm coming over tomorrow to have some honey bunches of oats, so pour me a bowl.